It is my sincere pleasure to welcome you to our ongoing Making Finance Work for Women Thought Leadership Series.
Christina, Juhasz is the Chief Investment Officer of WWB Asset Management. You've been in the world of gender lens investing. Where do you think we are in its evolution now?
Traditionally, gender lens investing has meant one of three things. Either an investor is allocating to gender diverse organizations. So for example, organizations that have good representation of women on the board or in senior management, or they're investing in women-owned businesses, or the third way would be investing in companies whose products or services are particularly meeting the needs or preferences of women. And these are really important areas to direct investment dollars, but it's also just the beginning. That's about choosing what to invest in. And at Women's World Banking, we go beyond just portfolio construction, and we think about how we, after we've invested, can continue to influence our portfolio companies for continual improvement in how they reach and serve women as customers, and also how their workplaces create employment and leadership opportunities for women. And we do find we have a lot of tools to do that as investors. And that goes from negotiating gender commitments in the investment documentation to requiring reporting and analysis of gender disaggregated data to designing senior management pay packages that consider gender diversity objectives.
What are the various ways that we're witnessing the social impact of GLI from your perspective?
We found over the past 4 years among our own portfolio companies that the average loan size gap between men and women has been reduced by half. As I mentioned, we collect a lot of gender disaggregated data from our portfolio companies. And one of the most bothersome results for us that this data stubbornly has shown is that women are receiving lower loan sizes than men. And this is despite them having consistently better repayment rates. And in 2020, especially, this was meaningful because we know that women's businesses suffered more than men's as a result of the pandemic. One of the chief causes of those bad outcomes was the lack of funding. So we were really quite gratified to see this year that among our portfolio companies, that wasn't really happening.
Your second GLI fund also uses a blended finance structure. How does that work and how does it support gender lens investing?
This is really innovative and partnership type thinking on the part of development actors, also like the European Union, like the German Development Bank. And it's a recognition by that community that their financial resources are not going to be sufficient to achieve their objectives, the Sustainable Development Goals. And they recognize that we're only going to be able to achieve those goals if the private sector leans in as well. But recognizing that the private sector needs to achieve market rate risk-adjusted returns when investing capital. And so until we can say with certainty that impact investing can achieve those returns by having those established track records, the EU and others like yourselves are willing to use their capital to reduce risk or enhance returns for the private sector. And this can take three basic forms. It's usually a first loss position, which protects private sector capital from losses, or it can boost returns either through leveraging or bonus payments. And finally, by providing grant funding to increase the value, to invest in the value of the underlying investment. So whatever form it takes, blended finance should be a signal to private sector investors that there is some financial advantage or incentive being offered to them to encourage them to allocate capital to impact strategies.
What's the one thing you'd like the audience to take away from today's discussion?
I would just like to impress on everyone or repeat again, this is not a niche, gender lens investing. This is for all of us. This is a big opportunity and it's going to need a big number of players participating. It's growing, but it's really a call to action. It's urgent. We all, perhaps in the absence of long track records, need to be a little more courageous and have a little more faith that this is the right thing to be doing.